You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and today we're going to be talking to the parents. We have an amazing show lineup for y'all. On this episode, we have Craig Parks. He has a great website you need to check out, parentingharmony.com. He's all about helping parents reduce stress and increase joy. And guess what? He's a parent himself, so he knows what he's doing. So first and foremost, Craig, I want to say thank you for your time today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to be with you.
I appreciate you clearing your schedule just for this interview. So let's get right to business. Kind of share with the audience what was the pain points you saw that enabled you to say, you know what, we need to create parentingharmony.com. And also you have amazing resources that parents can really utilize.
Yeah, I think for me, when I thought about my own childhood, my dad worked so hard, often 7 days a week, where I didn't get to see him very much, right? And I think as a little child, all you want is just some love and some connection with your parents. And when I think back to like the moments I did have with him when he was home, he'd pop on music, put me up on his shoulders, and I would just go dancing with him around the living room, and I think about how strong of a memory that is. And then propelled me into my young adulthood. I started working with kids as a camp counselor. Then I became a very young camp director. And I created 2 summer camps. I trained a lot of people how to work with kids. And I'm also a professional musician. And so I've written a lot of music. And then when I had kids of my own, I have a 21-year-old son. He just turned 21. But he was our first kid. And we were in for a bit of a shock when we found out that about, maybe 15 months in, that he was on the autism spectrum. And it was kind of a shock to our system. At that point, he wasn't talking, had no words. And not knowing if you would ever hear the words daddy or I love you from your own child was pretty shocking. And so we started getting help from occupational therapists and speech therapists and behavioral specialists and working with a lot of people. And basically, through my own journey, and we also have a 10-year-old daughter as well, through my own journey of parenting a kid with special needs, working with thousands of children in my own career, and training a lot of people and working with a lot of parents, it was time for me to kind of take the best of what I've learned from all of those experiences and put it into a course so that parents of young children, if they have any interest in having their kids look back on their childhood and think, man, that was sweet, or that was joyful, and have maybe different memories than I had, which is, I didn't have much time with my dad, I didn't have much time, then this course lays it out, and it really boils it down to affect. And I call my course Parenting A to E. And the A stands for affect. And all affect is the physical manifestations of our emotions. So essentially, it's how we use our body and how we use our voice. Because when we're walking this planet, all we have is this body and this voice. So if we can understand how to maximize how to use our body and our voice for connection, and for the E, which is effect, the effective relationship we want, which is love, trust, bonding, connection, then we can have the kind of relationship we really crave when we dream of what it means to be a parent. So that's what I did. And this first module of my course really breaks it all down. Like, how do you move? How do you use facial expressions? How do you use your entire body? How do you use your shoulders and your arms and your hands to maximize connection? How do you use your voice in all sorts of ways to maximize connection? So the first module of my course really breaks it all down. And also I know parents don't have a lot of time. We're all overwhelmed. So the videos in my course are 2 to 5 minutes. That's it. It's like you watch it and use it right away. And then the second part is music, and third part is activities, because ultimately you can have this information, but you got to be able to use it. And we can take our kids to Disneyland or put on a big birthday party, but I mean, let's face it, like most of parenting day to day is not going to Disneyland. And so most of it is waking them up, make sure they're washing their hands, making sure they're eating, putting them down for bed, making sure that you're giving them a bath, all of that mundane stuff. And as I was raising my own kids and running camps, I wrote a bunch of songs, and I realized, wow, these songs are actually parenting experiences. You know, a song for waking up, a lullaby for bedtime, a song for washing hands, a song for eating healthy, a song for playing with your children. And then I realized I want to get this out to parents. I want other parents to be able to experience the connections that I've had with certainly the thousands of kids I've worked with, but also with my own children, and especially my son, you know, being on the autism spectrum, like learning how to really connect and get into his world. So this is some of the best stuff that I've accumulated, and now it's ready to go out. So I recorded 14 songs, and I put 10 activities which are screen free. I know parents are looking for ways to get their kids off of screens, and so these are all like wonderful activities and songs that will make the everyday moments more special. Instead of just letting the time go by, you can utilize these and be mindful of your affect, so that we can create just a lot more love and peace in this world, which I believe we all need.
Once again, listen to Refocused Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Craig Parks. Go to his website, parentingharmony.com. I love how you talked about creativity with music and how that has been able to be an avenue to not just be creative, but also engage emotions. And I think that's very key. I love how you also talk about how we use our body and how we use our voice. That's very crucial in building any kind of relationships, whether it's with your children or with just everyday people. When you look at the traditions that you've been able to have with your own children, what are some of the things that you see enhance those traditions that took them from one level to like, oh my God, that's part of my favorite piece of memory now for years to come?
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. I shared the story about, you know, with my dad, how he was gone a lot, but when he was there, he'd hoist me up on his shoulders. And so I ended up writing a song called Dancing on Daddy's Shoulders. And this is a song I would just, you know, put my kids up on my shoulders, and it's a really, really catchy song. And for me, I realized, wow, like this is so cool that my kids and I are going to have this memory forever. And like the power of melody and the power of music to create memories. I mean, I'll go and do music at senior citizens' homes and Alzheimer's places. And these are people who can't remember their own children's names, but I'll start singing songs from the 50s or 60s, and all of a sudden they're singing along. So if we understand how to utilize the power of music, that's key. So that'll boost any moment at all. I remember looking back on my first grade year. I don't know how many people remember the day-to-day of first grade. Probably not a lot of details. But one thing that my first grade teacher always did at the end of every day, she sang the same song. So all these years later, I still remember that song from first grade. And that's what, you know, these are the types of things that inspired me to like really want to harness this and not just have it be something that you just kind of do, but put intention behind it. Because, man, I just want as best possible connection and love with my children as possible. I want them to feel that they can come to me and they know that I'm there for them and that they're not alone in this world. And so all of these songs and all these moments have been key in creating that.
With your experience also being a parent with a child with special needs, those who are listening and watching, if they ever feel like they've been in the position of being overwhelmed or feeling burnt out, what are some of the things that you personally been able to focus on to help you get through those days where it feels like you're just overwhelmed?
It's a great question. You know, so the main thing that I've noticed with parents who have kids with special needs, and it's not everybody, but it is really a majority of them, and it's the reason why I've created support groups for parents who have kids with special needs, is isolating. I mean, so many parents who have kids with special needs just they don't have any social connections and they're overwhelmed by their situation. You know, I know for my wife and I, when my son was real little, we would try to, you know, go to the park, or we would, you know, go to different play dates where all the kids would be playing together and all the parents would be hanging out with each other. But we couldn't, because our son wasn't able to really socially connect the way the other kids were. And so we were always kind of frenetic, and eventually we just stopped going to those things because we were worried about about our son and about the other kids. And so we just stopped and we just got real insular. And that's a very common thing. And it's one of the worst things that you can do as a parent is isolate. It is so essential that you get some support and you reach out. And if people are reaching out to you, allow them to connect. If people are saying, hey, let me babysit for a couple hours so you can go and do whatever, like taking care of our well-being and our connection with others is really key. I mean, it can get really lonely and really depressing at times. It doesn't have to be. But oftentimes parents feel like nobody understands my situation. But the truth is there's a lot of other parents out there who will totally get it. And so that would be my biggest piece of advice. If you find yourself isolating, get out of that isolation. There are support groups for almost everything, and reach out to friends, or reach out to family, and with trusted people, and just share your heart and soul. Let them know what's up, because feeling alone in the world is one of the worst things that can be experienced.
We're talking to our guest today, Craig Parks. Go to his website, parentingharmony.com. I think I read in the bio too, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do a weekly show with your daughter. And if so, tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So when the pandemic started, as a performer and as a musician and running all sorts of youth programs, I got pretty bummed out really, really quickly. And I turned to my daughter, who was 5 at the time, and I said, hey, Neshama, you want to do a show with me? She was like, yeah. And so that same week, we created Parks Party Central, and it was basically a variety show with music and comedy and interactive games, so that anybody who showed up on my Facebook Live would end up interacting with us. And in that first year, we did 50 episodes every week. And since then, we've done, I think, 20 more. We've slowed down now that she's older, but we ended up doing 70 total episodes. 3 of them are up on YouTube, so if anybody wants to check them out. And there's great ideas in those shows of things that you can do with your kids, like activities, and they're just really fun and bonding. So
wow.
Yeah,
she was a podcast host way before I was, man. Man, all right. Now,
I got to share the story. So when we were doing our first episode, I mean, here we were hanging out, and I'm like, Neshama, every show needs a theme song. Here I'm a professional musician. I'm thinking, I'll write us a theme song, and this girl busts out a song on the spot, and it became our theme song. It's catchy. It's really good. It's really cute, and so you'll get to hear that if anybody goes and checks it out.
Now that she's a little bit older, have you noticed that she still has that itch to be like a talk show co-host or host herself, or how's it looking right now in her future? Yeah,
well, she definitely enjoys the spotlight a bit. I will say that. She's been in musical theater, and she's gotten the leads on some plays. She's really, both my kids are very, very musical. So, as a musician myself, it's pretty cool. And we're working on maybe getting out and doing some gigs, calling ourselves the daddy-daughter duo. So she plays piano and she sings.
Once again, you listen to Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest, Craig Parks. Go to his website, parentingharmony.com. I like the parenting keyword harmony. Let's touch on that a little bit, because in focus on how you help parents reduce the stress and increase joy, that's a sweet balance of harmony. With your experience with your children, I'm an uncle, so I can understand from a long distance how it could be painful, but how have you been able to create the harmony part? Because that sounds easier said than done.
Well, let's remember with harmony, you need 2, right? You can't have harmony with 1. So when you really focus on understanding the person across from you, no matter who it is in life, right? That's the access to harmony, is that deep listening, that deep paying attention, like, who is this next to me? And so with my son, who wasn't talking till well past the age of 2, it was more challenging. And that's one of the reasons why affect and understanding, how can you get into somebody's world even without language? You can use body language and expressions. There's a lot of ways. So for me, the harmony gets created when I'm paying attention to what do they love, and can I get into their world, and are they open to the things that I love? And if they are, let's open them up into my world too, and let's share that. Music has obviously been a really key one. My son, he got his first drum set when he was 3, and I couldn't believe it. Like, he sits down, he starts like boom, pop, doom. I'm like, this kid was 3, and then when he was 5, I discovered that he has perfect pitch. So, his neurology certainly presents a lot of challenges for him in his life, but I'll tell you, like, music is an incredible thing. So the harmony is created when you understand, like, what do our kids love, and how can we support that in a way that helps them to grow? And when they see that we respect who they are and their individuality, it goes a long way towards that harmony.
Those who are watching, parents or listening to us online, are there additional resources that you found helpful that they might be able to use for their kids with special needs? And if so, would you recommend one or a couple places that have seemed to be resourceful for you?
Well, I think for us, it was autism, right? But for other parents, it might be cerebral palsy, it might be Down syndrome, it might be blindness or deafness. I mean, there's so many different things. It might be, ADD. So what I would say is do research to see whatever your child's particular needs are, but definitely do some research and reach out, because there's a lot of great organizations. There's not like one necessarily blanket one. And I think in a lot of ways, the more specific you can go, the more you as a parent are going to feel understood and cared for.
Time flies by fast, not just for this show, but just in life in general. And I like when you talk about earlier in the show, being active, because it's really easy to have like a boring, passive routine and just kind of let life go by you real fast. And before you know it, you wake up, graduating from college, what's going on here? How can parents also just pay attention to the special moments? Like, I call them once in a life moment. Like, this won't ever happen a billion years from now. Like, this is the only shot you got to make this special memory. What are some of the things that you try to be aware of when those special moments do come?
For me, and even the course I put together, it was about realizing that they're all special moments. And if you don't take notice of that, then you're going to miss out. Your kids are going to blink your eyes and they're going to be going to college. And so one of the things in my course, I wrote a piece called The Glider, and, my kids are 10 and a half years apart. So we had this particular glider for a lot of years, and I rocked both my kids on this glider. And when the day came for us to get rid of that glider, I got really, it was emotional for me, And so I ended up writing a piece of prose from the perspective of the glider. And I posted it, on social media, and this is a number of years ago, and it got heavy emotional reaction from people. And really, it's like, how many times are you rocking your kid? How many times are you doing a diaper change, right? And those things, you're doing them every day. So you're thinking, this isn't the special moment, right? You were talking about those special moments, but those are the special moments, right? And if you can actually make those special by singing songs along with them, or, if you have a special handshake or whatever it happens to be, my whole course about making the mundane memorable, because most of life is that. So I asked my daughter the other day, I'm like, hey, do you remember your diaper changes? And she's like, oh yeah, he used to sing Make a Beat with Your Feet and the Coconut Song. And I'm like, she remembers her diaper changes, 2-3 years old, because it was associated with music. So that, I think if parents are not utilizing music as a way to make those moments and create them as special, then they're missing out on one of the most powerful human creations, and that is music and vibration.
When you think about joy, when it comes to parenting, it's not always something that's on top of your brain when you wake up, because, life happens, emails, texts, all that stuff. You get busy and you have to manage all these different things. How have you been able to prioritize expressing joy in the household, and how has that been able to impact your relationship with your children?
Well, I think, as a camp director and someone who's kind of tasked with creating moments of joy in the summertime for thousands and thousands of kids and training other people how to create joy, I think to some degree it's come kind of naturally to me. But I also want to recognize, man, there are real hard, stressful times in parenting. And I don't want to come on here and think, life can be 100% joyful, because that is not it. And that's not what I'm saying. In fact, even the book that I came out with last summer is called Stress Less and Have More Fun with Your Kids. It doesn't say get rid of stress. It says stress less, right? We're all going to have stress. But can we be mindful and understand all we have to work with here is our body and our voice. So if I'm intentional, if I'm intentional, say, I want to create a relationship of love and joy, then at any moment I can say to myself, is the way that I'm moving my body right now and the words that I'm saying and the tone and the pitch, is it actually working towards what I say I want to create? And can I be the grown-up in the relationship? And when things get hard and things get stressful, can I be the one to role model for my kids? This is how you calm yourself down. This is how you do emotional regulation. When my kids see me meditate, they see me when I'm getting frustrated, walk away and take some deep breaths. I'm actually regulating my own body so I can calm down. But it takes mindfulness, but it's totally doable and possible. And, both my book and my course talks about, first and foremost, take care of your well-being, man, because if you are super hungry and super exhausted and you're not taking care of your own well-being, it's hard to give, man, when your cup is empty.
That's a great point. And with that, I have a couple more questions. When you look at how you manage just social media, technology, and just a lot of culture and, opinions and people trying to put labels or just ideas down for, your family to consume. How do you kind of manage that part of parenthood as far as what you allow your children to experience with community events versus all the technology distraction that can also occupy their time?
Well, I think it's different for both my kids, right? Having one kid on the autism spectrum, and one more neurotypical kid, whatever that phrase means too, we all got things. I think ultimately, it's an education process. I mean, there were people when I'd be out in the community, there'd be times where my son would do things that were, maybe inappropriate or weird, because of his neurology. But the moment I would say, hey, listen, I want you to know my son is on the autism spectrum, there's and certainly I've worked with a lot of kids with special needs. And what I found is when I educate my counselors or when I educate the other campers, when there's education, there tends to be compassion and empathy and understanding, and people are more apt, they're more apt to just want to help and be helpful. So, that's one thing I would say is education, letting people know about what's up.
Well, once again, people want to go to your website and go to parentingharmony.com. As we wrap this up, if someone wants to find a way they can reach out to you, what's the best way that they can stay up to par in what you're doing in your professional world?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, they can write to me at craigparks@parentingharmony.com. That's a really great way to get in touch with me. I'm also on Instagram, Parenting Harmony. I'm on TikTok, Parenting Harmony, and the number 1. And so those are some of the best ways to do it. And if there's anybody that's listening that wants my course, there's a membership model where it gets dripped out to you so you can just really absorb each lesson. It's just for 1 year, and by the end of that year, you'll have everything, all the activities, all the songs, all the instruction. There's also a way to buy it all at once if someone's like, I want it all now. And if they want to do it that way, if they write to me and they said they were listening to your podcast, Shemaiah, then $100 off the price. So I just really want to encourage all parents to take care of them really well. This world needs our children to be loved really, really well. so they can grow up and become the kind of leaders that take care of our world in a lot better way than perhaps our generation has.
Once again, listening to Refocused Radio and watching us online, talking to our guest today, Craig Parks. Go to his website, parentingharmony.com. Make sure you get all the different resources he has there available. And I want to say thanks for giving our audience a generous offer, a little discount that you just gave us. I appreciate that. And like always, I want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. It's been really great being with you.